Mandalore, a world defined by war, honor, and the weight of ancient traditions. But what if its fate had been altered by a single decision? What if Sabine Wren, heir to House Ren and wielder of the Darksaber, had claimed her rightful place as Mandalore years before the events we know? The galaxy as we know it would have been transformed. The rebellion, the empire, and the future of the Mandalorian people all changed forever. Today, we're diving into the alternate timeline where Sabine Wren didn't wait, where she embraced her destiny and claimed Mandalore while the empire was still at its height. Before we dive into our alternate history, let's establish what actually happened in the Star Wars timeline we know. Sabine Wren, born to House Ren on Crownest, was a cadet at the Imperial Academy on Mandalore. There, she designed a terrible weapon, the Arc Pulse Generator, or the Duchess, which targeted Mandalorian armor specifically. When she discovered how the Empire would use her creation against her own people, she sabotaged it and fled. This betrayal carried a heavy price. The Empire took vengeance on her family, essentially holding her father hostage to ensure Clan Ren's cooperation. Meanwhile, Sabine became a hunted fugitive, eventually finding sanctuary with the crew of the Ghost. Captain Hera Syndulla, the Jedi Kanan Jarrus, Garazeb Aurelios, and the young Ezra Bridger. For years, Sabine fought alongside these early rebels, honing her skills as a warrior and explosives expert. But her past remained unresolved, the shadow of what she'd created for the Empire and the family she'd left behind. Everything changed when Sabine, along with Ezra and Kanan, journeyed to Dathomir. There, amidst the ruins of the Night Sister lair, they discovered something unexpected, the Darksaber. This was no ordinary weapon. Forged over 1,000 years ago by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian inducted into the Jedi Order, the Darksaber had become the symbol of Mandalorian leadership. Whoever wielded it could claim the right to rule, if they proved worthy. Reluctantly, Sabine accepted the weapon, though she had no intention of using it to lead. Under Kanan's guidance, she trained to master it, confronting her own demons in the process. Eventually, Sabine returned to her family on Crownest, bearing the Darksaber as a symbol of hope. Though initially rejected, she proved her worth and rekindled her place within Clan Ren. This began a campaign to unite the Mandalorian clans against Imperial rule. However, rather than claiming leadership herself, Sabine chose to pass the Darksaber to Bo-Katan Kryze, sister of Mandalore's former ruler, Duchess Satine. Bo-Katan had the lineage and experience that Sabine believed she herself lacked. This decision came too late. Though the Mandalorian clans united under Bo-Katan's leadership, the Empire's response was swift and devastating. In what became known as the Great Purge, Imperial forces bombarded Mandalore, killing countless warriors and rendering much of the planet uninhabitable. The survivors were scattered across the galaxy, forced to hide their heritage or face extermination. Mandalorian culture, once proud and visible throughout the galaxy, was driven underground, preserved only in small, secretive coverts. Our divergence point is simple but profound. What if Sabine had claimed her role as Mandalore years earlier, right after obtaining the Darksaber? In our alternate timeline, the discovery of the Darksaber on Dathomir unfolds exactly as before. Sabine, along with Ezra and Kanan, returns to the Ghost with this ancient symbol of Mandalorian leadership. But here, something fundamental changes. Perhaps it's a dream, vivid and prophetic, showing Sabine the devastation that awaits her people if she delays. Perhaps it's a transmission from Mandalorian space, revealing Imperial atrocities already underway. Whatever the catalyst, this alternate Sabine comes to a profound realization. Running from her past has only allowed the Empire to tighten its grip on her people. The weapon she created continues to threaten everything she loves. While the canonical Sabine was crippled by guilt and self-doubt, our alternate Sabine transmutes these emotions into resolve. The Mandalorian way isn't just about being the strongest warrior, it's about protecting your clan, your family, your people, no matter the personal cost. She approaches Kanan not just for training with the Darksaber, but with a request to help her become worthy of leadership. Their training sessions take on new urgency and purpose. Kanan recognizes the change in his student. He tells her of ancient Jedi teachings about leadership, how the greatest leaders are often those who don't seek power, but accept it as responsibility. Those teachings resonate with Mandalorian philosophy in ways neither had expected. The Ghost Crew watches this transformation with mixed emotions. They support Sabine, but fear losing her to this new path. Hera, ever the strategist, sees potential advantage for the rebellion in a Mandalorian uprising. And so a plan forms. Sabine will return to Mandalorian space, not as a prodigal daughter seeking forgiveness, but as a contender for the title of Mandalore. The Ghost Crew will support her initial return, and the broader rebellion will provide covert assistance if she gains traction. Approximately 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, when the rebellion is still a loose coalition of cells rather than a unified alliance, Sabine makes her decisive move. She returns to Mandalorian space, Darksaber in hand, ready to face both her past and her destiny. Sabine's first target isn't Mandalore itself. That would be suicide against entrenched Imperial forces. Instead, she returns to her ancestral home on Crownest, the stronghold of Clan Ren. In our canon timeline, this visit was reactive, Sabine responding to her brother's capture. In our alternate timeline, she arrives with purpose and preparation, having coordinated with the Ghost Crew for tactical support. The Wrens detect her approach, but instead of the hostile reception we saw in the original timeline, Sabine broadcasts a message. She comes bearing the Darksaber and the means to free her father from Imperial control. Countess Ursa Wren, Sabine's mother, faces an impossible choice. Imperial protocol demands she report and capture her daughter. Mandalorian tradition demands she acknowledge the bearer of the Darksaber. Maternal instinct demands she protect her child. Sabine doesn't wait for a formal reception. Using skills honed with the Ghost Crew, she infiltrates the stronghold with precision, avoiding detection until she reaches the private chambers of Clan Ren. There, she confronts her family. Not with recrimination, but with opportunity. The Darksaber isn't just a weapon, it's a rallying point for all Mandalorians who remember their history and yearn for freedom. The Empire, she explains, will never allow Mandalore true autonomy. Their culture, their armor, their very identities will be systematically erased, a process already beginning with the weapon she herself created. Ursa Wren, ever the pragmatist, recognizes that her daughter has returned not as a fugitive seeking shelter, but as a potential war chief offering liberation. The Darksaber's presence changes the equation fundamentally. What follows is not the tense family reunion of our canon timeline, but a covert strategic summit. The Imperial officers stationed with Clan Ren must be neutralized simultaneously, without alerting Mandalore to the uprising. The operation is executed with precision. Imperial comms are jammed, officers are captured or eliminated, and within hours, Clan Ren declares itself free of Imperial oversight, the first Mandalorian clan to openly break from the Empire in this new timeline. Word spreads, carefully and secretly at first. The daughter of Clan Ren has returned bearing the Darksaber. The time for hiding, for compromise, for slow subjugation is over. With Clan Ren secured as her base of operations, Sabine faces a monumental task, uniting the historically fractious Mandalorian clans under a single banner. Many still blame her for creating the weapon that threatens them all. Unlike in our canon timeline, Sabine doesn't immediately seek out Bo-Katan Kryze. Instead, she applies rebel tactics to Mandalorian politics, identifying which clans are most oppressed by Imperial rule and therefore most likely to join her cause. Clan Eldar, once proud weaponsmiths, now forced to produce for Imperial armories. Clan Rook, their ancestral lands seized for an Imperial mining operation. Clan Deshra, half their warriors conscripted into Imperial super commando units. Sabine approaches each with a tailored message. The Darksaber has returned to Mandalorian hands, and with it, the chance to reclaim their specific losses. She doesn't promise easy victory, only the honor of fighting for their own destiny, rather than serving Imperial masters. Some join through ritual combat, Sabine proving her worth with the Darksaber against clan champions. Others join through negotiation, convinced by the strategic alliance with the budding rebellion that Sabine offers. The key difference in this timeline is that Imperial forces on Mandalore don't immediately recognize the threat forming at the edges of their control. They see isolated incidents, a clan failing to deliver its quota, a mining operation suffering unexplained equipment failures. By the time they realize a coordinated resistance is forming, nearly a third of the Mandalorian clans have secretly pledged to Sabine's cause, creating a network of safe houses, supply caches, and training grounds across Mandalorian space. This is when Sabine finally approaches Bo-Katan Kryze, not to offer her the Darksaber as in our timeline, but to request her experience and knowledge as a former regent of Mandalore. Their relationship is complex. Bo-Katan believes rightfully that leadership should be hers by experience and lineage. Yet the Darksaber has chosen Sabine, and many clans have already rallied to her. In our canon timeline, Bo-Katan eventually accepted the Darksaber from Sabine out of necessity. In this timeline, she makes a different choice. She offers to serve as Sabine's war chief and advisor, bringing her considerable experience to the cause while acknowledging the younger woman's claim. This pragmatic alliance addresses both women's concerns. Bo-Katan's expertise will help prevent costly mistakes, while Sabine's connection to the rebellion opens new avenues for support and intelligence. With Bo-Katan's backing, more traditionalist clans join the movement. Within 6 months of Sabine's return to Crownest, over half the Mandalorian clans have secretly pledged to her cause. The time for secrecy is ending. The time for open rebellion approaches. With a substantial coalition of clans now supporting her, Sabine faces a critical strategic decision: how to confront the Imperial occupation most effectively. A direct assault on Mandalore itself would be catastrophic against entrenched Imperial forces with orbital support. Instead, Sabine proposes a campaign of coordinated strikes across Mandalorian space, targeting Imperial supply lines, communication centers, and collaborators. The goal isn't just military disruption, but psychological impact. Every successful strike will demonstrate that the Empire is vulnerable, that resistance is possible. Each victory will bring more Mandalorians to their cause. The first wave of attacks begins approximately 18 months before the Battle of Yavin. Across a dozen worlds in Mandalorian space, Imperial facilities are hit simultaneously, with minimal casualties but maximum visible damage. Each attack bears Sabine's artistic signature, explosive color patterns that can be seen for miles, marking these as not random terrorist acts, but coordinated statements of defiance. Imperial response is predictably harsh: martial law, increased patrols, public executions of suspected sympathizers. But these heavy-handed tactics only drive more Mandalorians to the resistance. The Empire, already stretched thin across the galaxy, cannot effectively respond to guerrilla tactics across an entire sector, especially not against warriors who have been perfecting asymmetric warfare for millennia. As weeks turn to months, the pattern of resistance evolves. Initial hit-and-run strikes give way to more complex operations, holding territory, establishing forward bases, directly challenging Imperial control of smaller outposts. This escalation forces the Empire to commit more resources to Mandalorian space. Star Destroyers recalled from other sectors, legions of stormtroopers redeployed from quieter worlds. And this is precisely what Sabine has planned for. Every trooper sent to quell the Mandalorian uprising is one fewer available to hunt the fledgling rebellion elsewhere. Coordination with the rebellion becomes more formal. Through encrypted channels, Sabine shares intelligence on Imperial fleet movements, while rebel cells provide advanced weapons and technical support to Mandalorian fighters. As Imperial forces concentrate on major population centers, outlying systems fall entirely under Mandalorian control. These become safe havens for resistance fighters, training grounds for new recruits, and staging areas for larger operations. Approximately 1 year before the Battle of Yavin, with momentum firmly on their side, Sabine makes her boldest move yet, a direct challenge to Imperial control of Mandalore itself. The liberation of Mandalore in this timeline isn't the desperate last stand of our canon, but a carefully orchestrated military campaign drawing on both traditional Mandalorian tactics and Rebel Alliance strategy. The first phase targets Imperial orbital defenses. Using intelligence provided by Rebel spies, Mandalorian strike teams in Fang fighters execute precision raids on sensor arrays and communication satellites. These aren't intended to destroy Imperial space forces, merely to create blind spots and confusion that the main assault can exploit. The Empire believes they're facing typical guerrilla strikes, not realizing the full-scale invasion being prepared. The second phase begins under cover of darkness. Dropships carrying elite Mandalorian warriors, including Sabine herself and Bo-Katan, breach the atmosphere through the created blind spots. Their targets aren't random. Sabine has identified 3 critical objectives: the Imperial Governor's Compound, the Central Power Distribution Hub, and most importantly, the research facility where her weapon, the Duchess, is being developed. The teams deploy with methodical precision. This isn't chaos, it's centuries of Mandalorian military tradition combined with Sabine's intimate knowledge of Imperial protocols. Sabine leads the assault on the research facility personally. This is her creation, her mistake. And she is determined to be the one to end its threat forever. As these strike teams secure their objectives, the third phase begins, a more conventional assault on Imperial military positions throughout the capital. Clan banners fly openly as Mandalorian warriors engage stormtrooper units in direct combat. The fighting is brutal, but the Mandalorians have advantages beyond mere combat skill. This is their homeworld. They know every alley, every building. The civilian population, long oppressed, rises to assist them, providing intelligence and sabotaging Imperial equipment. Inside the research facility, Sabine faces the culmination of her journey. The weapon she created has been expanded, improved, prepared for mass deployment against her people. As Sabine prepares to destroy her creation once and for all, an alert sounds throughout the facility. Imperial reinforcements have breached the perimeter defenses, threatening to trap her team inside. Beyond the research facility, the battle for Mandalore hangs in precarious balance. Bo-Katan's team is pinned down at the Governor's compound. Clan Ren warriors face overwhelming numbers at the city gates, and orbital scans detect Imperial Star Destroyers moving into attack position. After years of planning, everything comes down to these next few moments. Sabine must make an impossible choice: complete her mission to destroy the weapon that threatens all Mandalorians, or abandon it to save her fellow warriors. One choice could win the battle but lose the war. The other could save lives today but doom her people tomorrow. The fate of Mandalore rests on this decision. Will Sabine find a way to both destroy her deadly creation and save her people? Can the Mandalorian clans truly unite to overthrow Imperial rule? And how will this alternate path reshape the entire Star Wars galaxy we know? Join us next time for the thrilling conclusion of our story to discover how one warrior's choice changes everything. If you've enjoyed this journey through an alternate Star Wars timeline, there are more untold stories waiting to be discovered. Join our growing community of Star Wars enthusiasts who believe in exploring these what-if moments that could have changed the galaxy far, far away. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications to catch our next alternative Star Wars story. Each tale offers a new perspective on the characters we love and the choices that define them. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. What other pivotal moments in the Star Wars saga would you like to see explored differently? Your ideas might inspire our next adventure. May the Force be with you, always.